Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Anne.
Good morning. Good morning, Kyle. Good morning, viewers. My name's Ann Rossley. I'm with Kyle.harvey. We are colleagues and friends who sell real estate in downtown Chicago. We're with Baird and Warner. We come to you every week to talk about real estate. I encourage you to subscribe to this show, follow us on social media, and when you have a real estate need, please reach out. So, Kyle, we have a big week this week. We're talking about what's in the news, right? The lawsuit.
Yes.
And we're not going to go ahead.
No. We are talking about what's in the news, and people, this is something that your real estate agents, brokers, friends who are in the business are going to be talking to you about for the next, I don't know, couple months until it becomes the new normal. So we're previewing the new normal with you this morning, at least for sellers. Buyers next week.
Buyers next week. We're leading edge here on Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. First, let's break into statistics, talk about what's going on. It's the first of the month, so we get to hear the latest and greatest of what happened through October of last year, of this year. This year,
people.
Leading edge would not be last year. All right. We talk about lakefront communities as always. Single-family homes closed in the month of October, 61. I try to put these circles, Kyle, on the chart so you can see the Octobers from previous years. And interestingly enough, the Octobers aren't as wacky if you tied them all together as the ups and downs of the other months of the year.
Wacky. I'm sorry, that was, the COVID years were a little wacky.
But the COVID years were wacky. Yeah. But we're not that far off, 87, 89, 81, and then now we're down to 61. But,
Yeah. For all the reasons that all you viewers who follow us know why.
You all know, right? Homes under contract, 68 last month. Number of single-family homes for sale, 275. That's down only 6.5% versus October of 2022. Month supply of homes. How many months will it take to sell what's on the market given the rate of sale? 3.8. So it's up a little bit. And now we have crossed the threshold. The median sales price is now 1.3. We were in the 1.2s. We continue to climb. $393 per square foot for a single family home. The number of showings per listing per month is 3.1. That's down 6.1% versus previous year. All right, let's talk condos. Excuse me. 591 condos closed last month, only down 9.8% versus previous month. 562 condos went under contract. But look at this. Here are the crazy years, but we're pretty steady if you look at the yellow dots, right?
Condos didn't get the same burst of activity that houses got during the go crazy COVID years.
2488 condos for sale. Compare that to the COVID high of 6663. There are currently 3.2 months worth of condos, and that's not a typo. That's up 3.2% versus previous year. I love when numbers match. We have been at $400,000 for the median sales price on condos for quite a long time now. That's an easy number to remember, and there we are. Okay, 3.4 showings per listing per month is up 9.7 versus the previous year. We had a pretty dismal October of last year. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's look at condo sales to date. 8,271 is down 26.8% versus the previous year, which was down 11.7% versus 2021, January through October. Home sales. Down 33.7 versus the previous year, which was down 17.8. And again, I think that's because single family homes were so in vogue, right, during COVID. So
But it's also interest rates. And we've got some news for you people right after this. There's been a big drop, but we'll talk about that. Go ahead.
Okay. So showing time. You know, at one point in April, we were at 235 on the showing time index. Now we're at 148.9. United States at 153, just a little bit ahead of us. As of last week, Freddie Mac was showing 7.76% interest rate. This chart shows you for the last 10 years, and it shows that we are at an all-time high for 10 years.
But news just this morning from Inman that mortgage rates retreated significantly over the last couple days. So they are now under 7.4% of the Mortgage News Daily.
And that's a big deal, right? So I'm showing you what Freddie Mac reported as of Friday last week.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the 30-year average is 7.74 for interest rates. And okay, let's look at rents because it's always interesting to see how rents compare. Median price of a one-bedroom, 2020. Median price for one bedroom, 2020, two bedroom, 2,595, three bedroom, 2,800. And if you look at the various neighborhoods for two bedrooms, you'll see near north is 3,678.
Near west is pretty high, almost there too. Wow.
Lincoln Park, 3,435. It's not inexpensive to have a two bedroom, folks. And then this is the last slide I'm including, and that's consumer confidence. And, you know, Marcy Russell, who talks to us about where the economy is headed, she's with leading real estate companies of the world. You know, she always talks about the fact that what drives the real estate market are expectations, not necessarily what it is. So confidence plays a big part in that. Because of prices, confidence is coming down a little bit. So that may be too a little bit why we see activity off. So anyway, that's that.
Well, you know, one of the things that we've been hearing from all the economists that we listen to is that when the spread between the yield and the interest rate starts to shrink, interest rates will start to come down. And that's happening this week because the unemployment numbers at the end of last week were rising. So unemployment, it's still very low, people, but it's showing that some of the work that the Fed has been doing is paying off. And so the fact that that yield is coming down is really good for interest rates, that spread in the yield. Right. And so one of the things that we've been hearing from Keeping Current Matters, which brings us a lot of economists information, is once interest rates start to go down, the real estate market is likely to heat up really big. And that's scary because it's still that sellers are sort of being are standing by on the sidelines, and we just don't have enough new construction for them. So it'll be interesting to see if potential sellers start to think, well, it's now time for me to get something that works for me, not to just pay attention to the interest rate. So we'll be reporting on this as we go. But let's go to not the good news, the new news.
All right. So let's talk the big news of the week.
Yes. Now, people, I don't know if you've been following that there are a number of lawsuits playing out around the country. Interestingly, focus on the Midwest, where a class action, you've heard of that in relation to consumer lawsuits in the past, but a class has sued the National Association of Realtors and a bunch of brokerages, not agents, but brokerages, saying that the commission structure, the rules around sellers paying commissions to sellers, brokers, and buyers, brokers is uncompetitive and illegal price fixing. And a jury on end of last week said, you're right, and awarded monster damages.
So let's take a peek at this. In the olden days, when I started in real estate, if you were selling your home, you had your agent, and there was a sub agent who would bring the buyer in. But the sub agent actually worked for the seller, and buyers were left out in the cold. So, and the first time I bought a property, I didn't realize this.
So
that
tell me what
we
you
were
mean by
actually
worked for the seller. What
the
did they do? What did they do? They went out and looked for buyers on behalf of a selling agent.
right.
Okay.
Absolutely right. But when the real estate person took me in to look at a house, they weren't representing me. They were subagents of the seller. And so, you know, people caught on to this and are like, hey, this isn't fair. I need somebody to represent me because I could end up with a money pit. Nobody's representing me. So then the Real Estate License Act was done in 2000, and they changed this. So now there was a seller's agent, and the agent on the other side actually did represent the buyer as their agent and owed all the fiduciary duties to the agent. So that was good. But how did they get paid? Well, the seller paid the seller's agent, right? They also then paid the buyer's agent. So, and this is what Kyle is talking about, that they were like, hold on a minute, this isn't right.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, go through exactly what the plaintiffs were saying and alleging in this lawsuit.
So, and what changed when we moved from buyers, from agents being a listing agent and a sub agent? What changed was they split apart to whom you were responsible. They didn't change the compensation model, which was that the seller offers a commission to the listing agent, and the listing agent then shares it with the buyer's agent. So they just didn't change the compensation model, but the buyer's agent owed all the duties of loyalty and representation to the buyer, but they just got paid by the seller. So this lawsuit says the buyers, the plaintiffs say that so what also happened is NAR, the National Association of Realtors, had a rule that said for you to put a listing on the MLS, the multiple listing
Service.
system, whatever it's called, MLS. It's the database of properties that we all use, and you
Right.
use to see things on Redfin or Zillow. The listing agent has to offer compensation to the buyer's agent, and there was an expectation of a certain level of compensation, half, close to half of your compensation. And buyers said that is unfair. Sellers said that. Sellers said that is unfair. You are shifting to me all of the costs of the agents onto me. I am getting less money than I would get if I just paid my agent and the buyers paid their own agents. And they said that it really, in practice, amounted to price fixing, that agents charge between 5 and 7%, depending on the market, depending on the level of agent, depending on what they were doing for you, between 5 and 7%, that they then switch. But if I didn't have to offer compensation to the buyer's agent, seller didn't have to offer compensation to the buyer's agent, I'd only pay between 2 and 3 or 3.5%. And that's a big savings. It's coming out of my pocket. I don't benefit from me paying the buyer's agent. And so that's hugely unfair. It's anti-competitive. And worse, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and these big brokerages conspired to fix prices. So that's what the lawsuit, that's what the sellers, the plaintiffs, were saying. Well, Anne, what did the defendants say? You jump in here.
Well, the defendants said, well, buying or selling a home is a complicated process. And regardless, first of all, and this has always been true, we as agents do not talk to other agents in other companies. A company such as Baird and Warner or Remax or Redfin or whoever can decide what they ask their listing agents to pay, but we don't talk to other companies about it.
And
so there's no conspiracy here, although, that's what they were trying to allege within the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And they were saying that this all comes out at closing. So if the buyer has to pay their own agent, they're going to pay less for the house. So in the end, when it all washes out, the numbers will still be the same. The seller will get effectively the same thing, because that money that the buyers would otherwise pay the sellers so that they could then pay the agents, will now come out of the deal. So they're not going to get any more money. In fact, they might get less money because of this shift. And the jury was having none of it.
Yep. So the decision was?
The jury ruled, one, there was a conspiracy among the defendants that effectively, and this is in part because of NAR, National Association of Realtors, rule that agents have to pay each other compensation, that the listing agent has to pay the buyer's agent, because then it encourages people to put things on the MLS. But the rule of compensation, that was really the reason for this rule, is so that everyone would be encouraged to put all these properties on the MLS and not hide them for themselves as pocket listings or keep them off the MLS.
Right.
That was a conspiracy, and that the conspiracy had the purpose or effect of inflating broker commission rates. So the amount that sellers had to pay the brokers. The fact that there was this conspiracy, and that was the finding, it inflated how much sellers had to pay. And it caused the plaintiffs, the sellers, to pay more than they would have paid had there not been a conspiracy. So they say that if there wasn't this conspiracy, they would have more power in negotiating the amount of commission that they would pay. And so the jury awarded this class of plaintiffs, and this class of plaintiffs were just home sellers over a period of about 5 years, because there's a statute of limitations. I'll explain that if you need to know what that means later. In Missouri,
just Missouri,
which is not a very populous state, they awarded them $1.79 billion. And because the antitrust rules under which this breach, this anti-competitive claims come under, that number gets multiplied by 3, because those are punitive damages. So the amount of damages awarded was $5.36 billion with a B dollars. That's dramatic. So that's the lawsuit. So what happens next, Anne?
Well, let's talk about implications for the future. Basically what they're saying is, sellers, do you really have to pay a cooperating broker that doesn't represent you? No. So the seller has some options, and none of this is codified in law yet, but we're starting to do the practice now. Sellers, you can offer to do what you're doing and offer compensation to the buyer's broker just like you did before. You can choose to offer a flat fee to the buyer's agent, or you could choose to offer nothing. And as of November 1, our multiple listing service is allowing sellers to offer nothing. Now, just so you know, if you were to enter into a listing agreement with Kyle or me, the Baird and Warner listing agreement, marketing agreement, has for years had a paragraph in there where we explicitly discuss
And
how much
disclose.
commission and how much we give to the other side. As a company, we have been totally transparent about this process, and it's important to know that. So
So
what does that do?
So, you know, one of the tricky things, and I started as soon as I heard that this case was going to trial, I started talking about this, and I know Ann has too, and savvy brokers have been doing this too, talking to their sellers and their potential sellers about the reason why we approach it in this way. And we explain that the buyer's broker does a ton of work to bring your buyer and keep your buyer on track, because it's in their interest to help their buyer find a place that they love and that they'll move into and that they'll close the deal. And so buyers brokers are helpful in the deal. And that value, that helpfulness, really does come out to what we're proposing to offer. And I explain the offer of this, but they get the right to negotiate and set the price.
Right.
I'm also now starting to explain to my sellers that you absolutely have the choice of how to do it. I can put 0 compensation in there, but you will expect that any offer we receive from a buyer will include a clause that says you're going to pay my agent X percent. So we can, and not only that, so expect that, 1, and 2, buyers today, with the rising cost of properties and the rising interest rates, don't necessarily have the money to do this.
Right.
And brokers cannot do this, but buyers will tell their agents, I don't want to see properties where I'm going to have to pay you.
Right.
I want you to screen out the properties where I have to pay the compensation and not that the seller will pay it. So for serious sellers, let's think strategically about how to get the most because showings lead to offers, and lots of showings lead to higher offers. Let's be smart about what we want to do. And for a lot of properties, the compensation is not that significant, and selling it quickly is important. So it's going to be a real conversation between selling agents, listing agents, and their clients to come up with a strategy that makes the most sense to achieve their goals.
Absolutely right.
What about you?
Yeah. No, that's right. We've had these conversations in the past. For those of us like you and I who really strongly believe in educating our clients in the process, this is not a huge change for us because we've always had that conversation. The only difference is, do you want to offer nothing? And, until it becomes de rigueur that buyers pay their own way, we want to help our sellers be competitive.
Well, so it was interesting. At the end of last week, I looked for listings because it's really been a week that this change has come into effect.
Right.
Or at the end of October. And no one is offering 0 right now. That could be that, and I've looked for new listings, and none of them say 0. Because I think people are still wrapping their heads around it. Now, there is an Illinois lawsuit, just like the Missouri lawsuit, but it hasn't come to trial yet. And just so you know, Baird and Warner is not a defendant in that lawsuit. Just so you know, we're not a defendant. But we are preparing ourselves to expect an outcome that is similar to Missouri. So this is why we're telling you about these things. But we're also telling you about these things because it's the wave of the future.
Right. We want to keep you informed as to what's going on. Next week, we're going to talk about how this really affects buyers, and as a buyer, what you should be thinking about as you move forward in purchasing your home. Thank you, Kyle. How awesome is it that we have our own attorney on?
Non-practicing.
Yes, but available to help us see all this. Thank you so much for that, Kyle. And now you have something else to share with us, right?
Yes. So can we take off the top, because that's where the words
Yes, thank you.
are.
Interesting properties.
Interesting properties. So let's do the first one. I think you have control. So this is 1775 West Rose Hill Drive. So are you guys aware of Rose Hill Cemetery? And these are all Edgewater properties. So, and Edgewater has been a very affordable neighborhood for a long time. And we're starting to see higher price properties. And I'm giving you higher price properties in
Right.
Edgewater.
Actually, Rose Hill Cemetery, everybody, is where my DAR chapter has the Never Forget Garden that we did for the veterans. Wait, here it is, my poppy pin, because it's Veterans Week. And there are some brilliant Civil War headstones there. There are also some very famous people there. There's a great tour of Rose Hill Cemetery. Hinckley and Schmidt are next to one another at Rose Hill. It's a cool place. So there's been since the Edgewater Hospital went away, there's been some great new construction up in this area. So I'm excited to hear about this. I'm looking at the top, Kyle.
Wait.
Totally intrigued.
So this used to be, go back to that house. So this used to be the Anderson Monument Company, the people who made headstones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was a manufacturing facility for 100 years. And so it is a 5-bedroom, 5-bath, 2 half-bath house with 2 garage spaces for $4 million.
Oh.
It is 7,535 square feet. Let's look at it.
Holy smokes. Okay, so this is where it's located, right by the cemetery.
Right to the entrance of the cemetery.
But keep in mind, you're very close to Lakeshore Drive. I mean, this is a great location.
It's a great Andersonville location. It's a great everything location. So this is a drone shot of the interior courtyard and outdoor spaces for this cool home.
Okay. I'm trying to are these solar panels I'm looking at?
Yeah, solar panels on both the roof and the little roof that so wherever they could. I thought that was really smart. And we'll talk in the future about solar panels in Chicago. So this is, it used to be a manufacturing facility. So there are some enormous spaces. So this is the bar, family room, because this is Chicago. Everyone's got to have a bar. Keep going. So this is the kitchen and dining space, the casual dining space. Huge. I like how they sort of did the floors as rugs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It sort of looks like the hardwood is like a rug.
Right. And they've got the ceiling to convey the space as well.
Yeah. I thought that was good.
Great if you like the layout. If you want to make a few changes, you could be hemmed in. But look at that.
Well, look how pretty that is. That's one of the side spaces, but nice.
Very serene. And look at the windows. My gosh.
Yeah, they really did a nice job. And then they're all different outdoor spaces. There's the main level and then this sort of private balcony off the bedroom. And this is
and they carried it over. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so this is 3 seasons, because those are panels that come down I thought that was really great. So
the biophilic design that we learned in Luxury Trends, right? Bringing the outdoors in and the indoors out.
Guess how much the taxes are?
How much?
$24,000.
24,000?
Yeah, I think that as soon as
that's really cheap given the list price.
As soon as this sells,
yeah,
for more. Okay, so that is currently for sale in sort of the Edgewater, Andersonville area. Next. So they are starting to build luxury condos. This is a picture of a building being built. And this is the penthouse, unit 7, keep going, at 6027 North Kenmore. So just east of Broadway, between Broadway and Sheridan, and right at Glen Lake. Okay.
Hmm.
So this is the layout of this unit.
Oh, I love the body on the bed. Can you see that in the right over there?
So it says that this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's not 4, because there are 4 baths. So don't think that this is a screwy listing. This full floor penthouse is on the market for $1.3 million, and it has 1 garage space, 1 exterior space. But it's a nice and pretty.
Well, it's like a 3-bedroom plus den kind of deal. How many square feet is it? Do you know?
It doesn't say. It's new, for God's
Okay.
sake, people.
Okay.
So next, what I thought was sort of interesting, go back. I can't believe that these are the windows. There got to be more windows than this.
Yeah, that's very few windows. You're right.
Yeah, so I think there must be something wackadoodle. But anyway, keep going. But then there's this rooftop, which is sort of great. Every apartment has their own little roof.
Yeah. Don't you want your own roof that you have access to?
So these are the design pictures of what it's supposed to look like on the inside.
Certainly more windows on this than there are in that floor plan.
I know. So, but anyway, I thought that would be interesting. So that's 1.3 million. That has no taxes, has no outdoor space, but they're building. The point is, they're starting to build luxury.
Yes,
in
luxury
Edgewater.
in Edgewater. Yes, that's new.
So this is a good deal. This is 5831 North Sheridan, Unit A 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, 2 half bath townhouse, fee simple townhouse, so no HOA fee, between Sheridan and the lake. So it is lakefront property. So go to the next. It is got a 3-car
Sorry, I
garage.
lost my space.
So
Okay.
that's the picture, and you can see at the end of the driveway is the lake. It's on the market for $579,900, so $580,000, and it is it's 3,381 square feet. That's a big townhouse,
Right.
and the taxes are $16,586, which is pretty good.
This is one of the best kept secrets in Chicago. There is no parking at this beach. So it's very private, very quiet. So to be able to live right at this beach, right at the lakefront trail is pretty cool. And
Very
to
cool.
your point, 3,300 square feet for in the 500s, that's a great bargain.
That's a great bargain. So interesting properties in Edgewater.
Thank you for sharing those. That's awesome. So everybody, we covered a lot of ground. Next week, we're going to talk about buyers and more about this lawsuit and other properties and other statistics. So please watch us, subscribe, send us your questions. We're happy to answer those. And as always, we're Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.